First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Yahweh to this world ignorantly calls God. Yahushua to this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Ba'ashem means the name, Rakah means spirit, and Qudash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Not sure what I'm going to title this video yet, but we're going to go into Baruch chapter 3 and verse 5. It says, "Remember not the iniquities of our forefathers, but think upon thy power and thy name now at this time. For thou art Yahweh our power, and thee, O Yahweh, will we praise. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee." Okay, and that is what's happening right now, is that the Israelites are waking up worldwide, and we are remembering, we are calling to mind all the wickedness, all the history of the Israelites and what our forefathers did. We are remembering why we are in this predicament. Okay, understanding that this is a punishment, that the Lord ultimately made us forget who we are, scattered us into all four corners of the earth, turned our women against us, turned your brothers against you, against each other. Okay, all of this is being called to mind. And this scripture always reminds me of Baruch, the 2nd chapter, because it talks about how we were going to do this in the land of our captivities. In Baruch chapter 2, and verse 30, it says, "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." Okay, one more time. "For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves." And this is one of my favorite scriptures, because it shows two things. It shows that the Israelites were scattered, and the Israelites were made to forget who they are. And it also shows that they were going to remember in the end days. And both of those things are happening. Okay, we forgot, but now we are remembering. Okay, and it is a beautiful thing. It says in verse 2, "And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity and think upon my name." Right, so that right there goes to show that we are going to have the original name. Okay, not no Yahweh, Yehovah, Yahuwah, Yah, all these variations, Yahweh. It's none of that. It's Yahweh, okay? So it was prophesied that we were going to have the true name, and that we would return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before Yahweh. Right? And that's exactly what Baruch 3 was talking about, how we are calling to mind all the wickedness of our forefathers, but also the righteousness. Okay, we are remembering our paths, which goes into the law, statutes, and commandments. That's the way of our fathers. And, this is something that is taking the world for a loop. All the world can talk about now, specifically, pretty much the entire world now, is the Hebrew Israelites. Oh, these people out here talking about salvation is only for the Israelites, and these people that talk about how, the chariots and the UFOs, and they talk about America as Babylon and the nuclear destruction, and those people. The Hebrew Israelites, the prophets, have turned this world upside down, because ultimately the truth is coming out. Okay, it says in Esdras that the truth which has been hid for so long shall be declared. 2nd Esdras chapter 1 or 2nd Esdras chapter 5 verse 1 says, "Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number. And the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith." And that's exactly the predicament this world was in before the prophets came on the scene, before the Lord started the Great Awakening. The way of truth was completely hidden. Okay, nobody knew the breakdowns, the prophecies of the Bible. Okay, all they knew about the Bible is it was on grandma's, glass container in the living room. It was just out there, collecting dust. All they knew was John 3:16. All they knew was, the plantation Christianity that was beat into them by their slave masters. So, this changed when the Hebrew Israelites came on the scene. And this was not the scripture I wanted. It was 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 27. It says, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which hath been so long without fruit shall be declared." And that's what we see happening, is a faith is growing in the world, because the awakening is happening, and also the truth which hath been so long without fruit, right? So that the true knowledge of the scriptures, it was hidden. There's going to be a time where, as it says, it was going to be declared. It was going to come out who the true Israelites are, the true understanding of the prophecies, the breakdowns, and the true gospel, because that's what it is at the end of the day. The world calls us the Hebrew Israelites, but we are, the true Christians, if you want to say that. We are the true followers of the anointed. And this is the true gospel. Not no Christianity, no. What we're saying is the true gospel. This is the good news. Right? That's what gospel means, good news. And the good news is that Yahushua is going to come back to save his elect, to establish the kingdom of heaven, righteousness throughout the entire earth, no more wars from these other nations, instill the law, statutes, and commandments in our inward parts, and give the Israelites immortal bodies. That is the good news, is that we're going to be saved from the land of our captivities. So let's keep going to Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. It says, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power." Right, so this is the condition we're in. Okay, scattered at the bottom of society, as the curse in Deuteronomy 28 said, that the stranger that is near thee, he shall be very high, and we're going to be down very low. Right, so we're going to be at the bottom of society. It also talks about how they were going to be the head, and we were going to be the tail, and we shall go to them for the want of all things. Okay, they shall lend to us, but we're not going to lend to them, because we're going to own nothing. And that's the scenario we're in, is that, hey, you don't see no Israelites primarily, so-called Latinos, Negroes, Native Americans, owning the big corporations of America, owning the big banks. It's not no Israelite, okay? It's an Edomite with a small little black hat. So we're scattered as a reproach and a curse, right? Which that word reproach goes into a look down upon, right? These nations look at the Israelite man and woman, and they see the lowest state we're in, and they look down upon us. We are a reproach, okay? We are a proverb and a byword. It says, and to be subject to payments, right? You got to pay those taxes, okay? You got to pay, all types of bills. And those taxes, man, Jake, back when Yahushua was on the scene, Jake was ready to up it, because of those taxes, which, it's the same thing today. Damn near paying 20, 25, 30%, if you're making some good money in America. The more you make, the more they try to take away. So it's like a lose-lose scenario, right? Here it is, you broke, and you don't really get a lot taken off your taxes, but as soon as you start making some good money, they start taxing your ass like, you don't work for it, which it's ultimately to, keep you at the bottom, keep you oppressed. Because if it's too easy to, become hyper successful, then ultimately they'll just lose control of the masses. But it says, according to all the iniquities of our fathers was departed from the Lord our power, right? And we are paying right now for what our forefathers did, because we were our forefathers. Okay, that's the key. Reincarnation is we are paying for what our forefathers did because we are our forefathers. We were them doing those wicked abominations. And that whole concept of reincarnation and the judgment is going to be applied on you Edomites. You Edomites that had us in slavery, breaking our backs, all types of wickedness. And guess what? Hey, just because you an Edomite and you're not doing it today, you still gotta pay because you were your forefather doing that. It says in Isaiah 14 and verse 21, it says, "Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities." Right? And when you go into the context of this is talking about Esau, okay, the king of Babylon, the Babylon, America. So it's saying, prepare slaughter for the children, for the iniquity of the fathers. Right? You got to pay for what your forefather did. And that's because you were him. So I'll leave it there. Quick video, straight to the point. Hopefully this was insightful. But with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakodash, and double honors to the other bishops and apostles of great millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom to elect Shalom.